Rev up your engines!
Dave Lee says, Scotty, would you be a mechanic now if you were starting out? With electric cars coming out and being so complex with expensive diagnostics? Who knows? You never know what would happen if you were born in a different generation. I'm 65 years old. But actually, electronic cars are much simpler than gasoline cars. All they have is an electric motor that's spinning. So they're actually much less complex than gasoline cars. They have to have fancy transmissions and electronic ignition systems and fuel injection systems. They're actually much simpler. You do have to understand electronics, but anything can be figured out if you really want. And with modern diagnostic equipment, I mean, I get stuff like this. This is an $800 scan tool that gets data. It does quite a good job. And I've got ones that are $10,000 that do really excellent jobs. So, you know, I probably still would have, you know, because I like working by myself, not having to deal with people. So I probably still would be a mechanic. Who knows? I still am now anyways. Lance Law says, Scotty, I got an '06 Lexus GS300, burns a quart every 500 miles. Is this a problem of piston ring or something else? Thank you. Well, generally, first change the PCV valve. It could be bad. It costs practically nothing. $10. Change that. If that doesn't fix it, then it's either the piston rings or your valve seals are gone. And if you want to figure that out, all you got to do is either have a mechanic do it or do it yourself. Do a wet and dry compression test. You take the spark plugs out and you do a compression test. And then in each cylinder, you put like a teaspoon of oil in and then do another compression test. That's the wet one. And if the pressure goes up a whole bunch, that means the piston rings are worn. If the pressure doesn't go up much, then it means the valve seals on the valves. Either way, it's a super expensive thing to repair. If the PCV valve doesn't fix it, just live with it and add oil as it burns it, because you would have to rebuild the engine. And those V6 engines are very complicated to rebuild. Succotash789 says, opinion on a 213 Mini Cooper S. Okay, that's their racing version. Now, Mini Coopers, the original Minis were an interesting revolutionary technology. The new ones are kind of a sales gimmick. They're a cute little car. People buy them because they look cute. But technologically, they generally tend to fall apart as they age. I've seen the wiring harnesses going. I've had numerous customers with them. The engines blew up. They're not all that well made. And since BMW is the company that's making most of the parts for them, they cost a fortune to buy parts for. I worked on one where the rear disc brake went out, and I had to go to the Mini dealer. Nobody else sold the parts, and the brake calipers were made by BMW, and they were like $750 a piece, and nobody else had them. So the parts cost a fortune. They're cute to drive around in, but in the long haul, they don't hold up very well. But if you do want to get one, you can get a used one cheap. Here in the United States, they got horrible resale values. You can get a cute one. If you get one with lower mileage and you want to play around with it, go right ahead. But don't think you can get one of those and put 20,000 miles a year on them, and it's going to last very long and be a dependable car to use. It just doesn't work that way with those things. D. Christopher, is a Geo Metro a good car to learn to work on? Geo Metros had those funky 3-cylinder engines. Sure, you know, you can get them dirt cheap. And as a matter of fact, I had a customer yesterday who's a truck driver, and he wants a car just to zink around. He's got one of those, got 250,000 miles. He says, yeah, it's slow, but I don't care. I just drive it to get in my big 18-wheeler and then drive all over in that, so I don't care. And his wife's got a nicer car, so that's his knockaround car. And they're simple cars, and parts are readily available on the internet for them, so it would be a very good car to learn to work on. They're small, there's a lot of working room, and you can pick them up dirt cheap too. And they can still run. If you could get a choice, though, get a standard transmission one. The automatic transmissions are garbage on those. Peter Christensen says, Scotty, I got an 88 Dodge Ram with a 318 fuel-injected V8. 318s are good engines. It always stalls if not on the gas, and this morning it wouldn't start. What could be wrong? Thanks. Okay, well, it's a dinosaur. It's what? 31 years old. So you got an old vehicle there, you know? It was fuel injected, but that's the old fuel injection style system. My advice would be get remanufactured or brand new fuel injectors for it first. It's so old. And also, pressure test the fuel pump after changing the fuel filter, because that old, the pump probably isn't putting out the pressure it should, and when it's cold, it won't run just right. So really, that's what I'd start with. And you never know. It's so old. There's so many things that could possibly go wrong, but something that old, the fuel injection system is going to need some work at that age. It's amazing that it still runs, really.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.